Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
You're listening to Bayswater Radio.
Go ahead. Make my day.
It's time!
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
What kind of music do you usually have?
What we got here is failure to communicate.
This is our house and our house music. To infinity and beyond.
Houston, we have a problem.
Oops. Well, you say we try that one again, huh? Yes, without the oops.
Welcome back to the second hour, and if you're just joining us for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. This month for October, we have been blessed to have an absolute legend, an international DJ by the name of Haydn Jay, absolute champion guy.
Yeah, mate, Haydn Jay, he's definitely been around the world. As far as DJing goes, he's played with some of the biggest names. This interview's going to be amazing. The insight that he's going to be able to give us on things that most people wouldn't even know about, I think, is the pinnacle. I met him in Cairns several years ago. I also got the chance to hang out with him in Ibiza when he was over there as a DJ. It was amazing. The experiences that I had and the things that he showed me were awesome. Mate, we know you're busy. We know you're flying out to the UK and you've got gigs booked over there for the next few weeks. So I suppose let's get this interview rolling. Adam, let's kick it off with the first question for Haydn Jay.
Yeah, look, Haydn, as Tim mentioned, we know you're very short on time, so thank you very much. Look, firstly, how long have you been DJing for?
So I've been DJing for about 30 years now, I guess. I started when I was 16, 17. Started playing a few clubs back in Cardiff, where I'm from. And then when I got to about the age of 22, 23, got asked to be resident in Ministry of Sound in the back room down there. Did that for a few years, and then had the opportunity to go abroad to Andorra. And I've always wanted to sort of go abroad and sort of broaden my horizons and see what the deal was out there. So started DJing out there, and as you do when you start traveling, you meet other people from different walks of life, and you have more opportunities and stuff like that. One of the guys that I was playing for ran a bar in Ibiza, so obviously that was a no-brainer. So just went over to Ibiza, played in his bar, and one of the guys that was part owner of that bar ran a room in Pasha. He asked me to go and play there in one of the rooms called the Funky Room, which is one of the legendary rooms on the island. It plays all funk, soul, disco, Chicago house. It's real sort of roots house music. So I had the residency there 3 or 4 nights a week for, must have been my whole time in Ibiza, which was 7 years. So yeah, I had the chance to play on nights for Defected, Ed Banger Records, David Guetta's night, Flower Power, which was quite a good experience. But all those nights were fantastic. Eric Murillo's night, Subliminal. And then after a few years doing that, we moved up onto the rooftop terrace. And that's more eclectic, you play up there from 8 in the evening till 7 in the morning, but it's basically anything goes. Sort of chill out, funk, soul. I met a few other people up there through Pasha and contacts, etc., as you do when you're in those sort of circles out and about DJing in Ibiza. And then finally got a residency in Space on the terrace, which was kind of a pinnacle of my career, really, as it's such a legendary club. So we used to play there for We Love Space on Sundays and a night called Committee, and did a few other bits and bobs there. And then in amongst that, playing in a few beach bars and playing in Bossa and all those kind of things. And then did a few nights in Eden over in San Antonio. But yeah, once you're in the mix of that in Ibiza, then if you're there for long enough, you meet the right people, you play in the right places. It was a good experience.
Wow, man, that's such a crazy journey, especially for a DJing career, mate. That we could only dream of things like that. I guess that kind of leads into the next question. You know, how did you come up with the name Haydn Jay?
So Haydn Jay came from my grandfather, who's a classical composer. I'm from Wales, and there's about 1,000 William Davises in Wales anyway. So I didn't want to use that name, but I wanted to use Haydn Jay because that was my grandfather's name, and it sounded a little bit more different, a little bit more cool in my mind anyway. That's where that came from.
Oh man, that's really cool. It's good to see that, you know, clearly music runs in the family. So, but that's really cool that you sort of named yourself after your grandfather. So who inspired you to start DJing?
I guess my inspiration for starting DJing was listening to Sasha from the 92, 94 Universe parties, when he used to play all old school stuff and that kind of thing. And to be honest with you, like, his career from the very start, 92 till now, he's progressed so much musically, and his sound is just next to none for me anyway. So I'd have to say Sasha as the number one DJ for me. But there's been loads of other people as well, like in different forms of music, different genres, like DJ Shadow and stuff. I learned a lot from when I used to start DJing hip hop and stuff like that, and all the sampling and the scratching, which I like to try and incorporate into house music and dance music, which not a lot of DJs do, other than like the likes of James Zabila, obviously. But yeah, Sasha was the big influence for me. If you go and watch that guy DJ, you can't hear one tune go into the next, and he'll put like a loop on at the start of his set that runs for an hour and a half in the background, which you can barely hear, but it just sort of like keeps the whole set together in one. It's kind of mind-blowing. You need to go and watch that guy. DJ is unbelievable. But inspirational wise, there's so many different types of music I like, you know. But as far as the guy that really got me into DJing was listening to Sasha. Yeah, so DJ Sasha is, you know, an inspiration. That's cool. But man, Shadow, I can really understand why he would influence you with the scratching and the sampling, and then try and implement that into house and deep house that, you know, not a lot of people do. I mean, you mentioned James Abilia, and he, for me personally, I think he's a bit of a pioneer. I know that Pioneer DJ themselves actually sort of recruit him to sort of test out all their new equipment. So to be able to try and implement something from a different genre into what you're actually playing, that's really, really cool. So the next question I've got for you is, what events and clubs have you held a residency at? So I've had quite a few residencies over the years. I mean, some of them have been, like for Ministry of Sound was for 2 years in London. And that was in the back room there, which was a great experience. I was only sort of 21, 22 there. So that was a real good learning curve, playing in front of a lot of people in quite a pressurised situation, because it's Ministry of Sound, you know. And then I've got to say the 7 years in Ibiza with Pasha and Space. They're the two biggest residencies that I never thought I would get. And once I got them, then that was kind of like, you know, I felt like I'd kind of done myself proud, really, and that's good for anyone's CV. But even on the small scales, like being resident of the Rock Bar, which is one of the most legendary bars on the island, very, very proud to be resident there for the 7 years. And then in amongst that, I'm a resident at a festival called the Mars Ball, which happens twice a year, once in the summer, once for Halloween. So I'm resident there. I'm going back there in a week's time to play at the Halloween Mass Ball, which is amazing. It's a huge event. It's going to be about 6,000 or 7,000 people. You know, you get to DJ with the likes of, you know, the Groove Armada boys, and Andy Weatherall, and loads of names that I can't remember, but huge acts. So yeah, I've had quite a few nice little residencies that I'm pretty proud of.
That's amazing, man. I guess being a resident DJ at Passion and Space in Ibiza, two of the biggest well-known clubs in the world, would be a pinnacle for any DJ. I know Adam and myself, we would kill for an opportunity like that. And, you know, I mean, especially being a resident for a festival every year, which is pretty cool, getting flown home from wherever you are in the world. That's pretty cool. I mean, you rattled off a few names, but I guess who has been the biggest name DJ you have played with?
Who's the biggest names I've played with? It's a bit of a toughie, really, seeing as I've had such a long career to date. I've been booked to play in a lot of places, for a lot of parties for big DJs. Played for them, played before them, and on some occasions been lucky enough to play after them. You know, the likes of Steve Lawler, Carl Cox, Eric Murillo, Jamie Jones, the Martinez brothers, Seth Troxler. But I guess the guys that I've consistently played with over the years are Andy and Tom from Groove Armada. They used to be friends of the guy that I used to DJ in the rock bar, and I met them and we hit it off quite well, and ended up playing quite a few nights with them in Pasha, in Space, and at the Mars Ball Festival that I mentioned. Also, another couple of guys that I played with consistently was Sister Bliss and Maxi Jazz from Faithless. They were doing quite a few gigs in Ibiza, and Faithless All Stars it was called, and I used to DJ with them probably over a course of about 3 or 4 years in Pasha and in the rock bar. So yeah, on a consistent basis I'd probably say Groove Armada and Faithless, but in amongst that, you know, loads of other guys and stuff that I've been lucky enough to play with.
Yeah, my goodness. So big name to start off with, Carl Cox, and then Groove Armada and Faithless. I'm lost for words, to be honest with you, man. That's unbelievable. I mean, residencies you mentioned earlier are just off the chain, and now top it off with this. Lost for words. So you've mentioned, residencies and everything else like that. Where has been your favourite club to play at?
My favourite club to play at would be my residency at Pasha, to be perfectly honest. That was always a dream to play there. I never thought I would actually have the opportunity, but I got asked to play there, like I said, in the funky room and on the terrace. And there's a group of residents there that really make you feel like part of the family. Pasha, if anyone else has been there, I know you have, Tim, is a very, very special club. So that's been my favourite place to play at. And then obviously, having the opportunity to play at Space was incredible as well. So I'd have to put Space up there with the best as well. Playing on the terrace there was always a dream of mine, and I managed to get in a few gigs there as well. So yeah.
Yeah, mate, I remember going to Pasha with yourself, that top terrace bar, the DJ booth, getting to actually go in there, watch a true artist perform. And then I also remember just across from that, a little room which had brand new Pioneer DJ equipment, all in little sort of Perspex boxes, which I remember you telling me that it was meant for DJs to be able to try out new equipment.
Yeah, I remember the time that, Tim, like you said, you came to Pasha and we're up on the terrace, and it was quite a mad little DJ box up there, and next to it was like a Pioneer lab, I guess, and it had all the new equipment in there, all the stuff that was just coming out. They'd put in there, and they'd get DJs to have a go at, and one of the guys that Mo Funk, obviously Australian guy, he was the Pioneer ambassador, so he was up there. DJs would play in the main room, and then they'd run upstairs to the lab, just behind the DJ box we were playing in, and have a go on all the new sort of effects equipment, new decks, all that sort of stuff. So, you'd be DJing on the terrace and you just turn around and there's Steve Lawler, bopping around behind you, and little Louis Vega and Joey Negro and Eric Murillo and stuff. And so those guys were up there learning all the new bits and bobs and stuff. And they'd just turn around and after they'd learned, they'd have a bit of a bop with us in the DJ box up there. So that was really cool. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely had fun there, man. It was such good times, and definitely a moment in my life that I'll never forget, having the opportunity to check all that stuff out. So I guess, what was your first track and label you were signed to?
The first label I got signed to was a label called Serotonin Digital, and that must have been about 7 or 8 years ago now, and it was a remix for a guy called Johnny Scratch. It was called Wax On, and that was kind of the first time I'd kind of been asked to do something big for a big record label. So yeah, that came about from just being out in Ibiza, as you do, networking and stuff like that. Met the guys playing down at Bora Bora and played in Bossa, and yeah, got asked to do a remix for them, and that's actually still on Beatport now, on Serotonin Digital, and it did really well. It got into the top 100 on Beatport, so we were really chuffed with that.
That's awesome, man. I know that both myself and Tim, on the odd occasion, we sort of dabble in Beatport and see what tracks are put up there. So to be able to actually have one up there and go as high as what it did, that's a massive achievement. That's unbelievable. But look, speaking of achievements, what's been your biggest achievement in your DJing career to date?
Biggest achievement to date, I'd probably say the thing that I'm most proud of would be the residencies that I held in Pasha and Space. Obviously, growing up as a kid and listening to mixes from there on the island 10 or 12 years before I even went out there, I never thought I'd get the chance to play out there even once. But then once I'd played there a couple of times, and then after the first year got considered as a resident there and was doing weekly gigs and stuff and playing with the big guys, and obviously that club is world renowned as one of the best in the world, Pasha and Space, both on their own merits. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me to date. And then production wise, doing a track last year called Fierceness with Tammy Lucas, who was backing singer for Michael Jackson and for Pharrell Williams. We did a track there. I got a phone call off Pharrell saying how much he loved the track and keep up the good work, and he's going to keep in touch and send some projects when they're doing stuff with NERD over the next year, the hip hop collective that he's got together. So yeah, production wise, even just simply speaking to Pharrell was pretty mind blowing. Certainly him saying that he loved the production that we were doing. So yeah, Pasha and Space for clubbing and DJing and doing stuff with, getting recognition from Pharrell for my production. That's the things I'm most proud of.
I have to admit that the Pharrell story I have not known. I've obviously known you a while, so I know a little bit more about you than Adam does. But sitting here watching his face as you tell us these stories is absolutely priceless. He's losing his mind over some of this stuff. But I guess, that comes with experience, which kind of leads me into the next question. In how many years have you spent as a DJ?
Well, I started in Ibiza, it must have been 10 years ago now, and I did 7 years there. The first year was just playing in a few little parties, and in the Rock Bar, which was my weekly residency. I had 5 or 6 nights a week there initially, and then over the next couple of years I got asked to play in Pasha, and then a couple of years later got the Space thing, and that was over the span of 7 years. yeah, that was an amazing experience.
Okay, yeah, sweet, nice. So what does the future hold for Haydn Jay?
So the future for me at the moment, I've taken kind of a little bit of a backseat in the DJing side of things at the moment, just because obviously I've relocated to just a little jump to the other side of the world, to Melbourne. But I'm really hitting the studio hard at the moment, so I've got a few productions in the pipeline with interest on a few record labels, the same one as I did with Tammy Lucas, Dia Records, which is an Eastern European based label. But I'm doing a lot of re-edits and remixes and my own productions as well. So at the moment I'm really concentrating on the production side of things. I'm going back to the UK to do a festival next week. But yeah, till the end of this year it'll just be studio and production and stuff. And I've got a track at the moment called Hookers that's been shown a lot of interest from Dia, who I'm on anyway, and Hot Creations and Solar Recordings. So a few record labels and stuff, but I'm just going to be smashing out tunes for the next few months, and then get back on the gigging scene from December, January, start getting bits and bobs done then. But yeah, for now, production, I'm so into that now, learning more and more every day, and yeah, I'm getting some good responses and stuff. So just watch out for the productions I'll be getting out.
Sweet, man. Well, firstly, let me thank you on behalf of us for giving us the time to tell us a little bit about yourself and your DJ career, and your aspirations. Mate, it's been a mind-blowing interview. I think even Adam can vouch for that.
Oh, mate, it's look, just listening to everything that's been told, gotta say my socks have been completely blown right off.
Yeah, definitely an interview for any aspiring DJs out there listening to the show. Thanks again, Haydn Jay. We'll let you get on with it. We know you're heading back to the UK, so enjoy. We'll see you next time. We'll catch up soon.
Hi, this is Haydn Jay, and you're listening to Bayswater Radio.
Let them go. It's all just sound.
You're listening to Bayswater Radio.
Just listen to the general hum, buzz of the world. Let them go. It's all just sound.
Bayswater Radio. You're listening to Bayswater Radio.
felt like having a hard home. Fur coats and brooms, no place to go. You know you got to go. You know you got to go your own way. You know you got to go. You know you got to go your own way.
As he talks, he paints a picture with words and with gestures.
You're listening to Bayswater Radio. listening to Bayswater Radio. Bayswater Radio. You're listening to Bayswater Radio.
listen to the sound of my voice just as if it were noise. Don't try to make any sense out of what I'm saying, because your brain will take care of that automatically. You don't have to try to understand it. Just listen to the sound. As you pursue that experiment, you will very naturally find that you can't help naming sounds, identifying them, that you will go on thinking, that is to say, talking to yourself inside. As you hear sounds coming up in your head, so look at your own thoughts as just noises. And soon you will find that the so-called outside world and the so-called inside world come together. They are a happening. When you breathe for a while, just letting it happen, and not forcing it in any way, you will discover a curious thing, that without making any effort, you can breathe more and more deeply. Supposing you simply are breathing out, and breathing out is important because it's the breath of relaxation, as when we say, dropping, dropping, dropping out, and you just get as heavy as possible and let yourself go, go, go.
Bayswater Radio.